Hello and welcome. On the first part of this DIY power plant video, I set up this rig at home and tried to generate power from burning garbage and trash like these. I struggled to find a suitable turbine to generate power from my setup. Thanks to your comments and advices, I came across this device, which is originally designed to vibrate and shake solid holding tanks in industrial processes. Thank you for all your suggestions. I redesigned it to suit my application and run on steam. I also found this permanent magnet generator made by Windzilla on eBay, which is able to generate 1200 watts with a DC output up to 48 volts. The magnets make it difficult to spin, which is why I use these pulley. The speed of the turbine can be converted to torque with a larger pulley, which I installed after realizing a straight drive was not going to cut it at all. At this point we can afford to lose speed over power, and this turned out to be worth it, since I could briefly generate 12 volts at 70 amps, or about 840 watts. This is enough to get this light to shine bright in broad daylight, and this brief video here does not do it justice. Now let this number sink in for a minute. 840 watts is enough to power a toaster, a fridge, or a microwave, or enough power to move 84 kilogram 1 meter in 1 second. Or to put it another way, push 1 kilogram 84 meters to 300 kilometers per hour, which would be lethal if you were on the receiving end. As previously explained, the water purity is a big concern, so to check it, I sampled it straight from the bottle before and after my filter demon setup and analyzed it. And since I am set up for these types of analysis, there you go. Let's first look at tap water here. The chlorides are so high, I can't even get a good peek on drinking water. Distilled water still has some chloride and nitrate, as previously demonstrated in this video. Link in the description. Now my setup removed them all very efficiently. So it's not only working, but it is doing a great job at it. So I calibrated it directly with a solution of sodium chloride at different concentration. Why sodium chloride? Because sodium, chloride, sulfates, and calcium are the most common ion encountered in natural water. I just wanted to briefly talk about another problem I had about the pressure transducer calibration. You see, it is absolutely vital to read the correct pressure in the boiler, even with safety features in place. The goal is to qualify and achieve reproducibility with every run. And since there is no pressure standard to calibrate anything with, I just looked at the accepted boiling point of water under different pressures. Since the thermometer is very reliable, I used it as a point of reference to build this calibration curve, and it worked pretty well. In addition to the vast amount of waste heat that makes this system inefficient, and because water has such a high heat capacity, most of the energy from burning anything is used up at the beginning of each experiment to simply bring the water to a boil and increase pressure. Finally, I mathematically combined the temperature in the furnace and the water inside the boiler to get an idea of the thermal power generated in the system. The maximum power is achieved when the furnace reaches about 750 degrees and the water under pressure is about 140 degrees. Unfortunately, there is no ocean, lake or river near my driveway, so I use this cooler as my ultimate heatsink. It seems to work fine as long as I don't exceed a few hours for each run before the cooling water gets too hot. But you can see steam coming out of the cooling tower, indicating the system works. Before I fire this thing up, let me talk about the liquid level measurement in the boiler. Getting a reading from such a difficult environment was challenging, to say the least, and this is the solution I came up with. A float is attached to a rod moving up and down with the liquid level in the boiler. The rod has a small radioactive source at the top that travels in the stainless steel pipe, and a radiation detector on the outside is constantly measuring the radiation from the gauge, and the signal is processed for a final reading here. Now why use a nuclear gauge? Because this is Neptunium. So now let's burn some charcoal briquettes and figure out the efficiency of this setup. Commercial charcoal has an energy density somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 megajoule per kilogram. So a 2-hour run or 7200 seconds should yield about 2700 joule per second, so 2700 watts. I recorded 840 watts, which is 31% efficiency instantaneously, and that is very much what an actual plant experiences continuously. However, my continuous output dropped dramatically since I can only run at full power for a few seconds. Looking at the chart recorder data from the entire run, I added all the peaks to get a total of roughly 38 seconds at full power. This brings the total efficiency down to 0.15%. Adding the trash for an extra boost of energy brought up this number to a staggering 0.19%. Pitiful? Yes, but this is far more than you would ever get from this trash. Charcoal can frankly be used for far more delicious activity, but let's face it, it's a lot less fun and you won't get the extreme satisfaction of burning tax forms. This process generates quite a large amount of ashes, which could eventually become a problem. Now before I let you go, let's look back at the chart recording. And this valuable tool allows me to dissect every point and process all my data without the stress of monitoring a pressure vessel, which effectively is a potential bomb. All the important parameters are here. The temperature is the red line, pressure is in yellow, power in light blue, and conductivity in white. The key scale is on the right hand side column. So for example, each division when looking at the temperature is 45 degrees, but the same divisions on the conductivity scale is 1 ppm. Notice how steady the conductivity remains throughout the whole run. We can clearly see the moment I closed the release valve and both pressure and temperature started to climb. That way, I can also take the opportunity to verify my pressure calibration. Obviously, the main problem at this point is trying to achieve a permanent run, and I think this steam trap recently delivered, designed to remove condensed water and a steam nozzle, would help. Let me know in the comment what you think about this so far and how to improve it. And with that, so this is probably not your first YouTube video and you know what to do. Thumbs up if you like it, subscribe if you want, Patreon, bell, share. I hope to see you again on the next one, and thank you for watching. Damn it!